What's good, YouTube, and welcome to another KaibaHacksDartz Yu-Gi-Oh video. We're back with another deck profile, deck update, deck list, whatever you like to call them, for October 2024, and this is our Arcana Knights deck profile. It's a work in progress, but it still runs pretty decently so far. So we're going to show you what we got so far, starting with the monsters. We got 3 King's Knight, pretty decent. 3 of the Queen's Knight, and 3 of the Jack's Knight. Now, obviously, if you don't know, the kind of main plays these guys do is if the Queen's Knight's on the field, when you normal summon the King's Knight, you can search your deck and special summon the Jack's Knight, which we can use to go into some of the extra deck monsters, or if you wanted to keep them out. So those are our main 3 boys, and there is like the Arcana Queen and like the Joker's Knight. I do not have those at the moment, but something I can add to the deck in the future. Next, we're running 3 Marauding Captain. He's basically just to get out, you know, more potential stuff for extra deck plays. Obviously, when you normal summon him, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster from your hand. So, you know, lots of different cards you could bring out to get those plays done, to extend. Next, we are running 3 Spell Striker. And there's a couple different cards that can be swapped out for these other than just the kind of more expensive E-Knight cards, you know, Arcana stuff. But the Spell Striker works as just another warrior. Easy to bring out. You probably have some spell cards in the grave. And obviously you can do direct attacks with it, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving this card. So, you know, it's another bonus. You can kind of bring them out if you need to do just 600, or if you maybe have some stuff to beef up your warrior monster's attack. Next, we are running 2 X-Saber Pashul. Some of these, like I said, are just kind of filler, or ways to bring out stuff, or, you know, like in this case, it is kind of stall power. Plus, he's a tuner, so we were just trying out different synchro warrior plays for the deck, seeing what kind of works, and just trying stuff out. Obviously, he's not the best because you take that 1,000 damage during each of your opponent's standby phases, but you can set him, and you won't take that damage that one time, and then maybe you can go off later if you're not using him the whatever turn you get him the first time. For some of the extra kind of monsters that are just, you know, for more special summons and stuff that can be kind of traded out depending on what you're doing and depending on what you're using them for. But we got Level Warrior. Obviously, we can bring him out as different levels, but he's another special summon. Photon Thrasher cannot be normal summon / set, which is kind of a downside. It could be a bit better depending on what you're doing with it, but so it's worth testing out different stuff. But must first be special summoned from your hand while you control no monsters. And if you control another monster, this card cannot attack. So another kind of downside to it. But he does have some beefy attack just to maybe go in for that single attack if need be. And also, you know, extra deck plays, of course. Another similar card, Card Breaker. You know, he's a warrior and same deal. Cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned in face-up attack position by sending 1 card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard. So depending on different plays, different maybe synchro stuff, different whatever, we're just trying out different ones that can be special summoned to see what works best for different plays. Next, we're just running 1 Colonel on the G-string, Colonel wearing the G-string, you know. And it's when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 2 level 4 or lower warrior monsters with different names from your hand in defense position. So, you know, just another kind of weird play extender to mess around with. And then an obnoxious Celtic guard. Basically a, you know, that X-Saber card. But in a different, you know, it's got a different level. I don't know if the Pashul, yeah, the Pashul is Earth. But it is good to have those different ones for some of the extra deck plays, different attributes. And like I said, different levels. So we're just testing out different stuff. Plus, it just might be what I have at the moment. So those are the monsters. Next, we'll move on to the spells. Like I said, there's lots of spells and traps that are similar vein of that I just don't have, or maybe too expensive, or haven't got my hands on yet. But we do have some of those plays for the more advanced night stuff. But we do have 3 unexpected die here. Obviously, you control no monsters. You can special summon 1 level 4 or lower normal monster from your deck. So what you can kind of do is go off, get the queen on your field, get the king with the normal summon, and then get the jack out from, a special summon from his effect. So that's one of just the dope ways you can work around stuff. Plus, just for other summons of whatever, depending on what your plays are. 2 double summons. Obviously, the king goes off only on his normal summon to bring that jack out, so it's good to have that double summon. You can bring this up to 3, go to 1. You can try out different stuff like arrivals, whatever you're kind of feeling to get those extra normal summons or sets. Next, we are running 2 face card fusion. Very, very decent card. It is fusion summon 1 light warrior fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. And if you control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, or Jack's Knight, you can use 1 monster from your deck as fusion material. So obviously, if you only have 2 of them, maybe you just have the Jack's Knight or you have whatever weird plays, you can extend and move around to get into the fusion plays, as well as there's some other light warriors that you could fuse into other than just like the Arcana stuff. Next, we're just running 1 poly. We might be possibly, it depends on how it goes, but maybe trading out the face card fusion for more polys, less or more. It depends on all the different, how the strats kind of go with the deck and how I'm feeling. And it's in its kind of infant stages, sorry. So the polymerization is just another way to get those fusions off, obviously. Next, just a reinforcement of the army to add whatever to our hand, the King's Knight or Queen's Knight or whatever. Colonel on the G string, Colonel in the G string. Monster Reborn. The Warrior Returning Alive, another just great way to add, one of them back to your hand to maybe pop off those plays again, a king or a queen or whatever, or just whatever warrior. This, like I said, a lot of these cards can be swapped out for some of the more expensive Ignite cards. Still a work in progress. Oh yeah, we will set these separate. There we go. Next, we got a Pot of Avarice. Great way to, recycle some stuff, get some cards off. Could have more or less of this as well. I'd say probably not 3, but 2 could be, pretty decent. Just because you get so many of those knights and other warriors in the graveyard. Quick recycle, get some more cards out of it. Can be very useful. Lastly, we got a Joker Straight. One of those, actual archetypal kind of cards, but it is discard 1 card. Special summon 1 Queen's Knight from your deck, and add 1 King's Knight or Jack's Knight from your deck to your hand, so you'd probably go King's Knight. And then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster. So you'd normal that King's Knight, and then you could get the Jack's Knight out of deck. And you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except light warrior monsters, obviously. And during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target 1 light warrior monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, add this card to your hand. So it's a great way to recycle them and get to them quicker. There's a lot of these good cards that are the more expensive-y kind of stuff or kind of rare, like the Joker Straight, or, the Bowers, I forget what they're called, or the Arcana Queen and such in the Joker Knight. So it'd be nice to get possibly more of those or some of the other cards in there as well, like I've mentioned. Next, we got the traps. We are running 2 Compulse. A lot of these are just kind of slight filler, just, good cards that can fit in any deck, generic-y kind of filler until I get some of those better cards. But the Compulse is G. Plus, you could maybe get your king out and then compulse your own king and then do it again to maybe get some more Jack's Knights out there to possibly play Extend more. Next, we are running 1 Joker's Wild, another one I could have more of, it's another one of those rare ones. During the main or battle phase, send 1 spell from your deck to the graveyard that specifically lists all of the Queen's Knight, King's Knight, Jack's Knight, and this effect becomes that spell's effect. So it's pretty good for, obviously, if you want basically more than 3 copies of something, or if you just want options to go into different stuff from your deck. Great card. And then during the end phase, if this card is in your graveyard, you can target one Light Warrior monster and shuffle it into the deck and add this card to hand. So basically the same thing as the Joker Straight. Great way to recycle those Night monsters plus other Light Warriors. And you can use the card again. Like I said, another one possibly that I'd like to run a lot more of. Wabaku, self-explanatory, you know, just kind of some stall power. Another one of these beautiful cards, Court of Cards. If you control no monsters or only control Queen's Knight, King's Knight, and Jack's Knight, you can special summon one King's Knight, Queen's Knight, or Jack's Knight from your hand or graveyard, and you can banish up to one each of the Knights and from your hand or graveyard and draw the same number of cards you banished. So I think depending on how you kind of the speed of your deck and how you speed it up and how you got it going, this could be better or worse. I think, you know, if it's a bit faster paced of a deck and you're not too worried about having to recycle those cards, it'd be better to just go in for the, you know, the plays. And obviously it's a continuous, so it's kind of cool, but it could be worth it to run more. Lastly, we just got one Rivalry of Warlords. We, I'm pretty, for the main deck at least, it's all warriors. I think in the extra deck there might be one or two that aren't. So, I mean, you know, it's whatever. And plus, we're not going to be pulling it too often because we only have one of it in the deck. But I figured it just kind of helps out. And might as well. For the extra deck, we are running 2 Arcana Extra Joker. And it is 3 warrior monsters with different names. So obviously you're 3 different knights. Or it's great just for going into from the different random warriors we can kind of go off with. And there's obviously lots of different options for the extra deck. I just don't have too much at the moment, but I'm working to piece it together. And it's once per turn when a spell/trap card or monster effect is activated that targets this face-up card on the field or a monster this card points to. Quick effect, you can discard the same type of card, monster, spell, or trap, and negate the activation. And when this link card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, which doesn't happen too often, you can special summon 1 level 4 warrior normal monster from your deck, and if you do, add 1 level 4 warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So obviously you'd use that to go into you know, your queen and then get your king probably to your hand so you can redo the play once again. But who knows, it depends what the situation calls for. So like I said, 2 of those. Next, we're just running 1 Decode Talker. This is one of those ones that isn't a warrior, obviously, but still has its uses, and can go into it with different stuff, the 3 knights or whatever. Or no, not the 3 knights, because, you know, one of them's an effect, but, you know, the two of the knights and maybe another effect monster. Next, we have Castell. Pulling out the level 4s all at the same time can be a little difficult, but yeah, you know, it's still useful because there is a little less level 4 power. It could be beefed up a bit, but still a useful card. Next, because we do have the Pashul, we're just throwing in a Yugioh Guardian. You know, 1 Earth Tuner, 1 non-tuner monster, and then we could maybe take control of some monsters that we take. You never know when they got something kind of low out there. Next, we just got an X-Saber Wayne. Like I said, I don't have too much to throw in the deck, but I figured this is just another way to maybe get out another monster to activate some kind of effects to pop off. Just working with different ideas. For the fusions, we're running 2 Arcana Knight Joker. This is Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, and King's Knight. And a fusion can only be done with the above materials. And once per turn, when a spell/trap card or monster effect is activated, it's the same thing as, you know, the Arcana Extra Joker. You know, you can stop it by discarding the same stuff. Basically, the only difference is that he has 1,000 more attack. The Extra Joker has 28. So, you know, it's basically an attack difference going into the fusion play. That's why it's, you know, it could go either way of keeping the fusions or not keeping the fusions, or going harder into different sides. Then next, and lastly, we got the Guilty Gearfried, the Magical Steel Knight. It's 2 warrior monsters with different attributes. So we basically, I think, only have light and earth. But, you know, you could switch that up depending on how often you use this card or different stuff. And once per turn, when a card effect is activated that targets this card, you can negate that effect. And if you do, it's a quick effect. And destroy one card on the field. If this card was fusion summoned using only monsters on the field as material, it can make a second attack during each battle phase. And once per turn, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation quick effect, you can banish one spell from your graveyard, and this card gains attack equal to half its current defense until the end of this turn. So, lots of uses on him. He's almost kind of a smaller version of the Extra Joker and Night Joker, where you're using a little less, but can still get out something pretty formidable. And overall, I think it's a pretty decent card. I'd like to know what kind of ideas you guys have for the extra deck. I know obviously I can get like the Bowers and the Arcana Queen and the Joker, like I've mentioned, which is some stuff that I could use to beef up. But overall, it's just using those cards, kind of going into the special summons. And, you know, getting out those kind of arcane extra, you know, or Night Joker or whatever. Those extra deck monsters. But so far, it runs half decently. I think there's some stuff I could do to boost it up just with some of the average E-cards. But it's just, you know, testing it out and trying different stuff at this point. Seeing what works and what doesn't and what I like. Like I said, let me know if you have any suggestions in the comments. And, you know, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check out my other deck profiles. Hit up my, you know, DIY projects for recreating Dungeon Dice monsters right in the middle of that for the cheap everyday player who maybe wants to try it for themselves. You know, without spending a bunch of money. You know, we're doing lots of different series, pack openings, stuff like that. So like I said, make sure to check out all that stuff. Hit that little notification bell so you know when future stuff's coming out. And otherwise, thanks for watching. Peace.